G'day and welcome back to Torment, Tides of Ranmenera. We have one more level up to do, and that will be Matkina going up to tier 5. We will grab, I guess, Analytic Attack and Illusory Warrior, both of which should prove pretty useful for her. Although one's speed and one's intellect. Yep, sounds good. And a skill to increase, we will increase running on her. And now we've learnt the Changing God, the selfishness of the Changing God in the past, but we need to head to the last resonance and to find out something that will allow us, the last mare that will allow us to unlock the resonance. This may be our last episode, it may be our second last, we'll find out. A world revolves far below you, a sunset flaring on the horizon. To the east, deep indigo shadows fall, painting the planet with darkness. The faintest shimmer of a force screen distorts your vision, and an exhalation of the station pushes warm, moist air across your skin. The view is familiar though your recollection of it is hazy. As if it were filtered or blurred through tears, you hold an intricately filigreed metal staff. Its carvings slither under your fingers as if it were alive. You're in a great hall. It's constructed more like an organic space than a constructed room. Machinery literally sprouts from the floors and walls, with no signs of where the synthetic metal gives way to the substrata from which it has grown. Though humid, the hall feels clean and fresh, healthy and vibrant, full of promise. A holographic map of the moon hovers at the back wall, near a small glowing pool. A voice speaks from the air itself. Are you certain this procedure will give you final control over the cast-offs? If you're mistaken, the chamber may fail, or worse, detonate with you inside. The voice is familiar, but you can't quite put a finger on its identity. Where are you? By your side as usual, watching, monitoring. The resonance chamber is ready in seconds. We just need to make sure this body will work as a catalyst. If something happens down there, I'll signal you to move to the next vessel. And if you don't get out in time, well, you got me. Let's hear it for redundancy. For now, just settle into the pod and we'll make sure this body will work for us. You pinpointed the source of the voice. It's coming from the staff in your hands. You peer at it closely and you see a glowing ghostly image, the holographic advisor from the other mare. No, this advisor looks different, augmented. It is a ghostly blue-limbed appearance of the Spectre. It is the Spectre. Try to remember how that staff works. Easy. You study the staff and it feels like coming home. It's a familiar friend, a comforting ally. It's a cornerstone to this moon, a key to every lock. You know that it copies your mind weekly, serving as a failsafe and a familiar, a consciousness that is your natural ally. When it speaks with the Spectre's voice. When it must manifest, it can create a ghostly image of the Changing God's original body. Holding it, you feel safe, in control. I don't want any part of this. I've been trying to stop this from happening. Oh, for goodness! An invisible force whisks you into the pod against your will. The staff in your hand vibrates slightly and you feel yourself bathed in energies. Remain calm. This is all well within normal parameters. The minor explosion that follows, however, surely is not. Suddenly klaxons blare. The nearby platelets vibrate furiously and the deactivated construct's arms begin to spark and flare. Get out! The Tsar's going to destroy you! Your nemesis manifests in the Great Hall. Its form is tenuous, wispy as it congeals. It gains solidity in fits and starts. The moon's internal defenses are slowing it, but it will not be enough to keep it out. As you watch, the Tsar shrugs itself past another line of defenses, jerking itself towards a more terrible reality. Its focus snaps towards you. It coils and writhes in a desperate to wipe you from existence. Get to another body. We can always make a new catalyst. Go! Okay. Now what we'll do is we will study the map to find the way to the escape pods. It's a multi-level projection. Its orientation and layout is prepared in a way to naturally pleasing to your eye, and you trace the route to a nearby escape cocoon without difficulty. You'll have to remember the layout of the halls, but the map is clear enough that you'll think you can remember the route. Try to pull off one of the vibrating platelets. You take hold of one of the discs. Your fingers sink into spongy material, and you detach it from the column of energy that holds it. It hums and cycles in a pitch that makes your eyes shudder. With each cycle, the disc shifts in your vision, changing colors you perceive. The tides churn within you as you hold it. It may have some effect on the sorrow. And examine the construct. The construct itself is beyond repair, but a quick study reveals that each of the construct's limbs were designed for independent power. So even though most of the construct is quiescent, its spike-powered hand is not. Working quickly, you detach it from the frame. It will be a suitable gauntlet. The powers that course through it might serve to delay the Sorrow's advance. You feel the moon shudder, then you feel it tear. The alarms in the Great Hall have begun to strobe. The lights flicker. The moon's moist air shrieks past you. The Sorrow has breached its walls. The hall branches with counting offshoots, piercing the winding passages of the moon. You know your escape lies down one of these routes. Your study of the map puts you in good stead here. You count the passages. Every landmark you expect arrives when you expect it. As you race through the halls, you see a small slot in the wall. It holds a firm green gel you know contains some kind of memory. Try to figure out what it contains. You press the forehead to the gel. It soaks into your skin, leaving behind a dry viridian paste. You're speaking with the staff you hold. The spectre speaks over your shoulder. This is strange, isn't it? Knowing I'm watching you make my home, that I'm going to be updated in a week with your experiences. My consciousness will fill this moon, and thus will you in an unbroken, indefinite chain. I don't hold any illusions about the sanctity of consciousness, but you know that already. This conversation is turning us into a solipsist. We've been called worse. Keep running, get to the pods. You pound into the bay, the doors shutting behind you. Your breath comes in hot in your chest. You double over to catch your breath. There are several cocoons arrayed on the outer wall. You need to activate one, and it will spin webbing around you. The smart membrane is tough, heat resistant, and will transfer the entirety of kinetic force away from you at the force of impact. You see an injection of some sort, but it's across the bay. You may not have time to reach it. Use the Sorrows following us. Use the plate that we tore from the column of energy to slow the construct. You hurl the platelet across the bay. The instant it leaves your fingers, it begins to change its shape. It becomes a cloth, a shroud. It curls over the Sorrow, enveloping your enemy. It molds itself across the creature like a giant scab, fixing the Sorrow in place. For a moment you dare hope that you have arrested its motion, but the scabrous fabric cracks, peels, and falls to the floor in a pile of organic flakes. Run across the bay. You have only one defense left. You hardly trust it will be enough to get you to the cocoons and off this doom moon. Better to run straight for the only hope of escape. Run across the bay to use the injection. You run across the room and snatch the syringe from its case. Reading the label, you see it's a stimulant designed especially for a cast-off. It confirms heightened awareness, resistance to pain, and improved accuracy and focus. And for you reason, if you use it now, it's in your body. You might carry it into the future, if you survive the present. You slap the injector in your thigh and you trigger it. You feel instantly calmer. The world is brighter. You can hear the Sorrow's inexorable progress. You have a few bare moments before it comes. Use the gauntlet you took from the construct. You slip the gauntlet over your hand and out in a warding gesture. The energy that blasts from it tears the Sorrow apart, decohering it utterly, stripping your foe to its component filaments. I honestly didn't think that would work, mutters the spectre. Silence reigns in the bay for a moment. Then the Sorrow manifests itself again. Threads of acid smoke weaving themselves together. Guess not. Climb into the escape pod. You slip into the cocoon and activate the ejection sequence and trigger it. The membrane embraces you, forcing you to drop the staff. It begins to slide free at the killing ground of the moon. Then your tattoo blazes as if it's tearing open an onslaught of the tides, all in blue and silver, a stream of information too fast and large to process. A mighty blast buffets the cocoon, and you feel one of the Sorrow's inky tendrils caress your cheek and burn into your mind, searing away knowledge and memory even as you tumble towards her. Amidst unspeakable pain, you feel something new forming within you, but you lose consciousness before you can identify what it is.
I'm ready to learn something new.
And then the game began. I'd hoped you'd open up for me, and here we are. The spectre says. His voice is not tied to his body. It pulls from the walls around you, from the shifting floor beneath your feet. It's time for some hard truths, child. Before he can finish, the air twists in the room, an explosion of light. A scarred figure steps out of it. The first. How's this for truth? The resonance is mine. It belongs to me and all cast-offs. I've worked too hard for it to be otherwise. Stand aside, old man, and let us determine our own destiny. Your destiny? You're a part of me. Your destiny was never yours to command. The resonance is not yours to claim. Only the latest cast-off can open the door. That body and I are the only ones capable of using the power beyond. You're out of your depth, Malarel, and this no longer concerns you. He ignores her and turns to you. I needed you to open that door, and you've done that. The cage I can handle on my own. When I enter the resonance, it will be to... His voice presses down on you like a hand, as if to drop you to your knees. When I enter the resonance, it'll be to return my errant children to my mind, where they belong. Lead me to it, and we have no further quarrel. What say you? You'd think someone who calls himself the Changing God would learn from his mistakes. Irritation flashes across his translucent face. I'm not here to debate who I am or what I've done. I'm here to claim what's mine. The ground rumbles menacingly beneath your feet. And what is that exactly? He looks at the ghostly form of the Changing God's daughter as if noticing her for the first time. His surprise is a brief, chill wind whipping across the darkness between you. You're a ghost, the one that haunts me. My daughter is dead, do you hear me? I can't bring her back no matter how hard I try. Is that so? She has nothing more to say, but her brow crinkles just slightly. She's confused as if she doesn't recognize the spectre as her father. Is that creature my father? He looks like what I remember, but he doesn't feel... Okay. Enough. I don't wish to fight you, cast-off, but neither will you keep me. What will it be? The resonance is not yours to claim. The real Changing God died when I was born. You're just a backup of his memories. Ridiculous. I've served Alcire for centuries. This is him. I know the son of a bitch in 100 different bodies. This is Alcire, all right. You speak in simple terms, but you're dense even for one of my cast-offs. I'm the Changing God and you're standing in my way. If you were truly the Changing cast-off, then this woman, she points to the Changing God's daughter, even if this woman were just a memory, she should recognize you as her father, don't you think? But I saw it. I saw it on her face when you challenged her. You're a stranger to her. He flinches and turns to face her. She meets his eyes, blinking once, and shakes her head. You're not her, he says. Then with more force he repeats himself. You're not her. Of course you don't know me. He turns his head from her entirely, staring into the dark. He sighs. I remember speaking to you on the moon. You're not the Changing God. You're an assistant. An update. As I said, the conversation was turning us into a solipsist. And we said we've been called worse. But we also said we hold no illusions about the sanctity of consciousness. That remains true. Consciousness needs to be continuous. You're a copy of what the Changing God was. By that reasoning, anyone who's had a dreamless, drunken night is also a copy of their previous selves. Spare me your philosophy, cast-off. Alright. So, if there's any heir to the mantle of the Changing God, it's me, or you need me in ways the Changing God wouldn't. You could not activate the resonance chamber without me, nor even open this door. You oversimplified. The accident made me a prisoner here, and now a short time later I have control here, in the very root of your mind. But there's something new in his eyes. Fear. The Changing God wouldn't have lost when we fought. I've lost plenty of battles, and I'm still alive because I know when to retreat and regroup. Constant victories of fiction I have no use for. If there's any heir to the mantle of the Changing God, it's me. I've been able to change the past to the mares ever since I awoke. I don't know what you are, but I know who I am. It's clear, however, this fact troubles him. Enough of this! He mutters, but there's no anger in his voice, no fire, only great weariness. His gaze moves from you to the others in the room. You're right. At first I convinced myself I wasn't whole anymore. Something had broken in me. I've been left behind. But it makes sense. I'm not him. I'm as close as anyone, but the Changing God is dead. He lets his hand fall, bit by bit, and begins to fade away. Is it true, then? Has Alcire been gone all this time? It would seem you and I no longer have a quarrel. You did it. He's gone. You've got my accomplishment for something I could never achieve. I suppose I owe you my gratitude. Might not be as bad as I thought, but I reserve judgment.
Hey, it looks like you've got this, and
She looks anxiously over her shoulder, as if someone had called her name.
I can't stay. I'm sorry, but I can't. I'm glad I got to see you one more time, though.
Will we ever meet again? I hope so. Keep Terry on you. Maybe, if you need me, well, he called me once, didn't he? Even if he doesn't, you'll always be with me. I wouldn't be who I am without you. Suddenly she lunges forward and throws her arms around you. It's amazing how tall she is, taller than you even. She kisses you on the cheek. When she pulls back and smiles, her tears are barely noticeable.
Farewell, my friend. My home and hearth and bread are forever yours.
A portal suddenly opens. The bright light and trees you remember from before spill out of it. She waves one last time and turns to step through it. Okay. So, okay, I guess we rank up again. Why not? We will increase our stat pools. Okay, so now let's chat with Mika. Do you want? Now do what you came to do. What are you gonna open it, or do I have to kill you and open it myself? Yeah, you going in or what? Okay, let's go through. Pulsing waves of heat roll down the stairs, and you hear a low, continuous whirring that's somewhere between a sigh and a melody. The door is singing as though welcoming you back. Even in this low light, the wheel at the bottom of the door fairly glows. You feel your palms tingle at the sight of it. Something clicks in your mind and the door answers. Hidden gears spin behind the cage. The door is opening for you and you alone. Hi there, Sora. The Sora is here in its full power, wearing the unquiet psyches of its victims like a tattered cloak. Filaments of light and energy leak from it, strange colors that correspond to no tides you know. Its tendrils flutter and flap in an unseen breeze. You have come before me at last, yet we have met so many times before. Its voice is a hissing multitude. One voice stands atop the rest, a woman's voice, soft and deep. It gives me no pleasure to meet you in this place, but you and your kind have left me no choice. Everybody your sire creates abuses those forces you call tides. They draw energy from those around them. In doing so, you weaken the seals on energy you do not comprehend. You increase the suffering in the world. Every attempt at mitigating that damage has failed. Every step results in misery. You are the first in millennia to hear me speak in an embodied language. You are persistent, tenacious, and durable, and so perhaps words will suffice where destruction has failed. It's time to bring this experiment in immortality to a close. While the creature speaks, its thoughts assault you, crushing your mind in an alien embrace. It takes an effort of will to shut them out just so you can speak. How have the tides increased suffering in the world? The tides themselves do not cause suffering, rather the abuse of them in your body. Your kind has wrought torment on the world in the name of endless life. You bring pain, large and small, deliberate and inadvertent. Without you, the endless battle would never have raged. Without you, the children of the Endless Gate would not have terrorized the world. Betrayals, slaughter, and bloodshed are the hallmarks of a cast-off's wake. Your sister, the slaver Tolmagur, cast her suffering into the child Rin, though the child had done her no harm. Your sister Matkina took her adoptive father's eyes. Though she mourned, she did not change her ways. Even the saintly Adiris brought torment into this world. She thought she drew my attention when she lashed out at me in Mielavest. No, she was already marked. In her body, your sire brought the jagged dream to Sega's cliffs to foment strife. Adiris rejected them, but chaos and misery trailed even in her passage through the world. Cast-offs bring pain. I'm just trying to stop the abuse of the tides. Are you? We shall see. I know what they say of me. Destroyer of civilizations, death's mistress, soul-taker, end of the circle, yet I take no pleasure in destruction. My pursuit of your kind has been solely a matter of expedience, but you have come this far despite my attempts to stop you. I'll give you a last chance at an alternate solution. When Adiris asked you what one life matters, you replied each life is important. A world of potential. We shall see if you stand by those words. I convinced the Spectre that the true changing god is dead. Is this true? It is late to speak of truths and identities. The one you called the Spectre was the embodiment of the changing god's life and memories. When you convinced him he was dead, that became true enough. All that remains of the changing god, all that he is and was, is here now in the labyrinth. Adira said she never used the tidal surge in her life. How did she abuse the tides? The surges are one manifestation of that suffering, but your kind draw and distort on the energy of the tides at a level you cannot understand. Her passage left lovers squabbling, children crying, and conflicts escalated that might have been avoided. Though she suspected this truth and sought the shelter of Mila Vest, even she has been the author of invisible miseries. Every one of you is the same. What is this place? This place is a central chamber of your collective mind space. It is the resonance, the true expression of which your resonance chamber was but a shadow. In this place you touch the knowledge and strength of every cast-off ever created. What are you? I am a guardian, a projector, a legacy of a forgotten people, tasked to watch over that which they failed to defend. Why are you here? When you escaped me on the moon, I placed a piece of myself here as a last resort. I have ridden here in your mind since then. Indeed, I could not have found the moon had you not returned to it in the mare, bringing me along with you. I called to myself in that reality, breaching the station's defenses to close the loop of time that brought me here. All to ensure the power of the resonance is not abused, that your kind does not worsen the world again. So what happens now? It is up to you. The question is, with what purpose have you come? I came here to keep the changing god from snuffing out our existence. The fate of cast-offs hangs by a precarious thread. Tread carefully. Okay, the first said that severing the connection between us would stop you from hunting us. Is that true? The connection of which he speaks is a labyrinth itself. You would no longer draw your power from this place, and my pursuit of you would cease. Your sister's solution would shatter this place. It would have destroyed the tidal seals that protect the populace from madness. My charter is to guard those seals, to protect that energy. Had a plan worked, it would have destroyed the minds of thousands. I could not allow that to occur. Is there another way to sever the tidal connection? The resonance chamber was a blunt instrument. Alone it would have shattered and destroyed the labyrinth. The resonance, however, is a sharp edge. It can sever the connection cleanly and without harm, eliminating your kind and the threat you pose to the integrity of tidal energies. It is the wise choice. And would that kill us all? My sire believed that subsuming all cast-offs into himself would stop you from hunting us. Is that true? Perhaps, for a time, if he could resist in making no further cast-offs, but I have trailed him across centuries, and I know he could not resist. The lure of new experience is too strong for him to resist. He would awaken me again and again. What if the cast-offs were subsumed into someone else, someone who wouldn't perpetuate the cycle? Could you find such a person? I would consider it an ideal, yet consider this space. The sorrow's arms sweep across the resonance, strangely flutter. This space is too large for any mortal mind. Even one fractured to reality can't hold it all. Only one somewhere already attuned to the labyrinth might successfully contain your minds. Only one of your kind. You said someone attuned to the labyrinth could contain the minds of the cast-offs. Does that include Mika? She has no body, but if you allow her to rise to the surface of your mind, to take your body, then it will be possible to absorb those experiences, though I do not know if it would cure the illness that would spur her father's experiments. And what if I want everything back the way it was? Is that possible? Yes, you and your kind can continue to exist, and I will continue to hunt you down, the ever-present, looming spectre, erasing you from history one by one. I will allow this. It seems like you'll allow any choice I make. What will you oppose? The resonance has the power to combine and to sever, and to remove the protections over the tides entirely. Doing so will unfetter a truly dangerous force, imperiling the land and the psychic landscape for millennia. I cannot resist this choice, and will resist it with all my strength. You remove the protections like you. I am part of those protections, not the only part. The released tidal force would flow across this territory, devastating the mental landscape. Many would suffer serious damage to their sanity, and others would find travel through the resultant psychic pollution impossible for thousands of years. This I will not allow. How do I choose? I have entwined myself through every piece of this place. It is mine. Tell me your choice, and I will make it reality, if I approve. And if you don't approve, then I will oppose you with all my strength. That is why I am here. Now this is a tricky choice. I quite like this ending, actually, in terms of just like the story implications. We could basically do this. There'd be no more cast-offs, and eventually all cast-offs would die. But we'd kind of be able to go as we are, along as we are, and otherwise we're immortal. I don't particularly like that idea. I don't really like the idea of... if you prefer we all die, why don't you just sever the connection? I have manifested here, but do not control the resonance itself. I am the lock on the door while your thoughts are the key. Your will remains paramount in this place. I can resist your choice, but I cannot make the choice for you. So we can complete our creator's original work. We can kill every cast-off, including ourselves. We can fight the sorrow, in which case we're unleashing something that, I mean, the sorrow was literally created to defend, and potentially, yeah, thousands of years of uninhabitable land, dreadful power unleashed upon the world. That doesn't sound great either. Or we can kind of raise Mika with the memories of all the cast-offs. I think I'm going to go with that one. I'm ready to make my choice. No, we're not a cancer. None of these choices are right. I have no choice. Yep. The only one blameless in this is Mika, the mortal daughter of the changing god. Merge our consciousnesses into hers, and she'll live out her days in my body. Her? You chose the catalyst to this whole situation to survive? She is not blameless. Without her, she would never have attracted the sorrow's attention in the first place. She has been dead for centuries, you fool. Give the gift to the living. The first is right. You don't know this dead daughter. You don't know what she's capable of. If she's anything like our creator, she'll make a bigger mess than we have now. Give life to one of us, someone who's proven themselves. You have lived your life compassionately and with sacrifice. Your answer does not come as a surprise, though your willingness to sacrifice all of the lives of all your siblings does. Yeah, no, it's a terrible set of decisions to make. Tell me, why have you made this decision? I like that you can just say no. Alright. She's got nothing to do with the situation. She's innocent in this. It was a changing god's fault, not hers. I can't blame the victim. And yeah. You're asking me to accept oblivion for a girl who's been dead for centuries. You want me to set aside all my history because you want someone else to reach her potential. But is that what we're all doing? We're all trying to make the world better for someone. Fine, give it to her. You've convinced me. Kill us all. Fair answer. If this is your choice, we shall commence with the solution. It's not my choice. It's not my solution. I refuse to submit to this. Yeah. I'm sorry, Makina, but we're all tainted. At least this way someone comes out ahead with a fresh start. This is our fate. Like hell it is, a blade in her hand. She strides towards you with murder on her face. When the sorrow's tendrils fall upon her maker, all that's left are floating wisps of heat and light. The decision is already made. Find your peace now. Makina loses the inspired fettle. Prepare yourself. The lights that dance to its form coalesce. The tormented minds that hang within it begin to stream away, drawn to some hidden singularity at the heart of the chamber. The sorrow dissolves thread by thread, and into that invisible hole, decohering into a lattice, a ring, and nearly comprehensible language of symbols and thoughts, laying out its purpose bare. A pure white light grows at the heart of the resonance, reaching towards you. The light envelops you in a soft embrace. The walls of the labyrinth collapse around you. You and the other cast-offs become the singularity, and the minds of the cast-off trickle towards you, a stream, a torrent, a flood, of tsunami of experience and of memories that stretch across centuries and worlds unimagined, and you remember it all. You remember it all. The pain, the tragedy, the suffering, the triumph, and all the motes and dreams of countless others trying to leave their mark on the world. Let the memories come. The torrent continues as you surrender control. The memories of the cast-offs you've met, the ones you'll never meet, fill your mind and overwhelm you. You taste their bitter notes, their sweet, their sweet. The knowledge of the solitude and deaths of friends, every life, every love, every enemy, the first kiss, the first broken heart, the triumph of justice, the ashen thrills of revenge realized, sadness, joy, fear, anger, the secrets hidden and the truths revealed. All their memories and hopes congeal and compress, joining yours. They overwhelm you, a rising tide of demands and wills honed by centuries of life, drowning you within them. You surrender your identity, sinking into the resonance, and they sink with you, combining into a single sweet note. And then the memories are gone as you stream into Mika's mind and memories, filling her with the wisdom and experience of your lives. You shut out sensation and thought, coiling in on yourself like a flower returning to its seeds. And then a great radiance surrounds your mind, an encompassing brilliance. You slip into oblivion, secure in the knowledge that some fraction of your life continues on. When you open your eyes, vertigo assails you. The sorrow hovers here, its tendrils coiling and twisting. You sit up, the detritus of the battle surrounds you, but you feel the quietness in the room, a lack. It takes you a moment, then you realize the first is gone, as are all of their allies. Not just dead, but vanished utterly. Even Matkina is gone. No sign remains of her passage. The world is familiar, but you're seeing it through new eyes. You feel your consciousness slipping away, as if slipping under a tectonic plate. You are becoming Mika. The resonance is sealed. The tides are once again at rest. Your father's final vessel has restored you to life, and all the other cast-offs are part of you now. Our journey is concluded. What happened to my father? Lost child. He spent his years trying to restore you to life. He has succeeded, though at a cost of your own. I caution you against any attempt to restore him. Let his legacy be manifest in your person. What happened to the last cast-off? She chose to give her life for you. She allowed her mind to join those first siblings in the resonance. They created the foundation for your new life. Turn to the companions. What will you do now?
Do? My dear, I don't intend to do anything. It is clear to me now the lengths I must go to in order to preserve my spirit beyond death. And it strikes me as somewhat laborious. Luckily, for good or ill, I have been stripped of such ambitions. My sisters are gone, and it seems time I took my leave as well.
She raises her arms, indicating the empty space around her.
Don't forget him.
She steps forward, looking into your face, searching. Her voice is soft, then she turns away.
Now? The now has never felt so much like an end until, well, now. I suppose I could find another beginning? That's what I'd like. Saving the world for someone else.
Go now, choose a wiser path than your father did, and we will not meet again. Sorrow fades into the air and then is gone. You look away from the diseased patch of air, but this place is not much better. You're surrounded by a blackened, bloody rubble, by death. It is time, perhaps, for some fresh air. Taking a deep breath, you set off. The daughter of the changing god set out into the world he had, without knowing, made for her. She travelled in the body that had once belonged to the last cast-off, with a mind forged by sacrifice. You were remembered for your great acts of compassion and sacrifice. For years to come, tales of your life inspired the people of the Ninth World to follow the murmuring of their conscience and protect those who could not protect themselves. Alagorn sought out psychics outside the city of Sega's cliffs. They taught him to unlock the secret code that would free his people. He returned to Ormond with the frame. One by one, he pulled his tattoos free and cast them through the black metal portal. His friends emerged on the other side, dazed and shocked by their long years of imprisonment in Alagorn's body and mind. They suffered no lasting damage. Over his remaining years, Alagorn learned to understand the frame and function. Ormond became a nomadic village, carried on the body of a solitary traveller. Its people flourished, and none forgot the name of the man who showed them the new way. Alagorn. Calistege became a scholar of renown, filling the library of Segas and all the libraries within the Ninth World with her treatises on multiple realities and possibility versus probability. She speaks as a woman who's lived many lifetimes more than her due, save for the life she led while with the last cast-off. That subject remains hers and hers alone, hidden by a smile or a grimace, but forever, irrevocably private. Tiber returned to Sega's cliffs, bowed beneath the weight of his guilt and loss of his lover, Ovin. Bereft of any greater purpose, he rededicated himself to the myriad of schemes that once sustained him. But they no longer did. Desperate to forget his failures, he buried himself in pleasure and took dangerous and despicable jobs to support his extravagant lifestyle. Near the end, he had no less than 5 contracts on his head, but the levies found him first. Guilty of crimes that would have once made him shudder, Tiber at last found himself before a jeering crowd and execution he had once feared. Death of Tiber. The hero Eratus was never seen again, but in a nameless field not far from the Valley of Dead Heroes, an aging herdsman drove his newly bought yole towards a rundown hut. Humming to himself, he rebuilt the hut stone by stone. That night he slept better than he had in years. He lived out his many years as a stranger to everyone who saw him in the tiny town where he bought his supplies. And one day, a shopkeeper realized he hadn't seen the herdman in months. That was the last time anyone thought of the man Eratus had become. Rin returned to her world content. She had rescued the one who'd so kindly rescued her. In doing so, she brought closure to a significant part of her life. She would never forget the last cast-off. As for the rest of the story, that has yet to be written. Alara, the girl once known as Loss of Self, not only remembered her name and the faces of her parents, but the next time they came to bring her food, she was able to tell them everything that had happened to her. Alara returned home happy for the first time in years. The veterans of the Fifth Eye enjoyed their retirement from the psychic wars. They drank, they laughed, they retold the same tales to anyone who would listen, until one by one their minds faded, and soon there was only Ziobi, drinking with her friends by herself. Although the crippled construct eventually agreed to give up trying to procreate, Tarnish could hear the torment in the foreman's voice. Finally, after Tarnish had grown old, too old to do more than tinker, he changed his mind and worked to help the foreman bring his children into the world. Soon after his 91st birthday, they were successful. The Stitcher travelled long and far to reach their new home. Many died along the way, the rocks between Sagus and the new rock providing very little in the way of sustenance for them. But they reached it in the end. They forged a new home for themselves, and they flourished there for a long time. With the Endless Gate closed, Ronos and the other surviving memorialists were able to clean and rebuild. There were so few of them left, it took months before the last of the blood was removed. They used several different barrier ciphers to block the tomb that held the Endless Gate in case something else ever came through again. They never did get rid of the smells. The bloom was relatively quiet for days after the Sorrow's attack on the Memavira's fortress. Nearly all of the Memavira's soldiers had fled, and the rest of the bloom's denizens waited quietly, wondering what would happen. When the Memavira did not return, and no one rose to take her place, that's when the fighting began. It started with the mutants of Little Niliesh, but soon every faction was involved. The bloom became a deadly battleground, one the bloom itself seemed to encourage, engorging itself on the lust of its denizens. Brusker harbored a small contingent of civilians inside the fortress, hoping the violence would die down. They are still there, hoping. Artaglio and his troops remained in Chioggian slump, free from the desires of the Moor. Artaglio became more jovial, friendly even. He drank less and extorted less. Though he still extorted, of course. A man's got to make a living somehow. When the troubles in the bloom started, Artaglio and his men barricaded the Chioggian slump. They're still there, though the bloom itself tears down every barricade they erect. They simply build another, making sure the slump, at least, remains safe. The ruins of Mielavest lie broken, untouched. It is more than a century before a group of explorers stumble upon them, wondering what happened in this place. What in the Ninth World could have caused so much destruction? And that was that. That was Torment, Tides of Numenera. That was really good, actually. I really enjoyed that ending. That final choice is much harder than any final choice I've had in other games. I don't think I made the right one, but I don't think there was really a right one to make. I kind of want to see what some of the other branches would lead to, but I'm certainly not going to do another Let's Play of it. I've spent far too many hours on this game now. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and until next time, have a great day. Bye.